With us County Executive Barry Glassman, who will deliver his second annual State of the County address to those of us here in the council chambers and the public, thanks to Harford Cable Network. We have a short video that I think Mr. Tress is going to provide for us. So at this time, if you would like to start the video, Mr. Tress.
But we will work hard every day and seize this chance to make a difference.
Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Harford County Executive Barry Glassman, if you would like to go to the podium.
Thank you. It's good to be with you this evening. I certainly thank my staff for that great little video as we try to recapture all that we've done this year. Before I start, Mr. President, I would like to introduce my son Jordan, who's here with me this evening and makes me feel old. He was born during the first term I was on the county council, and I can remember the night I came in and they put blue balloons on my chair there in District D. So it's good to have him with me this evening. And Deb's at home watching the lambs and the farm, so Jordan and I are holding down the family this evening. Council President Slutsky, honorable council members, cabinet members, special guests, and my fellow Harford Countyans. It's an honor to come before you this evening to report on the state of Harford County. Now, winter has come slower to the county this year, and as I learned from last year's experience, I am grateful for each day that passes without a large snow event. And for those of you who have missed Rick Ayers' phone calls, I will relay one of my funniest stories from the past year. I found out that being county executive, barely an hour goes by without somebody giving me a suggestion, a complaint, and sometimes even a compliment. But one day I was at the local grocery store and working my way through the line, and the checker, she usually tells me during the winter that Rick Ayers, my deputy director, calls too much. And she said, Mr. Glassman, you need to cut those calls down. And I said, well, we're working on that. But about that same time, a little old lady behind me, about 4 foot tall, was pulling on my suit jacket. And I leaned over, and she leaned into my ear and said, don't do that. He's the only man left that still calls me. So I've tried to moderate that. Mr. President, last year I came to you 64 days into my administration, full of hope and with great expectations, despite the challenges ahead of us. Today, I can reassure you that I am as optimistic as ever about Harford County's future and our efforts to make it Maryland's new center of opportunity. I also equated our fiscal position last year to a runner's stride, and that, in fact, we could not maintain our current pace of spending and borrowing to remain strong and a prosperous county. Today, I can report to you, due to the efforts of the County Council, my cabinet, and the great employees of Harford County, we have adjusted our stride, and the state of Harford County is strong, and we are prepared to finish the race for the next generation. Let me take a moment to walk you through the fiscal posture as we begin the new year. The fund balance is our cushion for emergencies. When I came into office, our fund balance was under $8.5 million, which is a small amount inside a $500 million budget. We also recognized immediately that the income tax revenue estimates needed to be revised down from an overly optimistic FY15 budget. However, largely due to holding the line on spending, we ended the year improving our position. The fund balance at the end of FY15 was more than $10 million, and the expectation is that the FY16 fund balance will improve upon that. Our fund balance is still lower than what the rating agencies would like to see, but we are now moving in the right direction. We were able to achieve our AAA bond rating for all three agencies last year, and I just returned at the end of last week from Wall Street and with our meetings in New York, and I am confident that we will retain our AAA bond rating, keeping Harford County one of only 3 counties in the state of Maryland that have achieved this highest rating possible. Property taxes are our largest revenue source. After 4 years of falling assessments, we have experienced modest increases for the past 3 years. The most recent assessments from northern Harford County, Havre de Grace, and the Joppatown area showed approximately a 3.2% increase. The last time those areas were reassessed 3 years ago, there was a drop of 6.5%, and 3 years before that, more than 14%. Like the rest of the state and nation, we are coming out of the hole, but we have not regained all that was lost, and the recovery in property values and subsequent property tax revenue will take a long time. The bottom line is that we expect our largest revenue stream to show limited growth in the future. Our second largest revenue source is income taxes. As you can see, it is much more volatile than the property tax revenue. Income tax revenue bottomed out in FY10, and we have seen growth every year, but the growth rate has significantly varied from year to year, and wages have still seen little growth over the past few years. We expect modest growth in income tax revenue, but we are reluctant to get too far out in front with our forecast when there is so much uncertainty left. In FY15, the county was $1 million short of its income tax estimate, and while the shortfall was met by county government holding down our spending without asking our outside agencies to take any cuts, the next time there is a shortfall, the cuts will have to be more widespread. This volatility is why we build a conservative and common sense budget to avoid the pitfalls of having to make cuts after the fact. As I reminded folks last year, the county's taxpayer-supported debt has tripled over the last 10 years, from $200 million to approximately $600 million. Reducing this debt will take years, and even through the increases in our debt load that took place under one administration, it will probably take more than one and probably several administrations to return us to prior levels. What I am doing is changing the trajectory from those of increases to those of decreases, and doing this is more difficult than it sounds. Most of the debt that we sold last year and most of the debt that we will sell this year is from projects that were budgeted and approved several years ago. This is why I stress constantly that the debt practice of the federal and the state government and even past county governments not only burden our current generation, but indeed strap our children as well. It limits our ability to meet future needs when our children and grandchildren have to pay back that debt that we take on today. In my FY16 capital budget, we included $33 million in new bonds, the smallest level since 2004. Our 6-year capital plan, the smallest since the year 2000, at $42 million per year. Projects paid with bonds today are tomorrow's debt. That means reducing future debt is about making tough choices today. So when my administration says no to well-meaning capital projects, I hope folks understand that this is the course that we must take to keep and sustain the fiscal strength of Harford County. My expectation, however, is that the debt should level off, and in future years our debt service trajectory will follow the downward trend of our debt load. As you can see, these are still uncertain fiscal times for local government. Like the rest of the state and nation, we are facing financial headwinds, which is why we need this new path forward, a path of fiscal responsibility, balance, efficiency, innovation, opportunity, service, accountability, and leadership. These are the values that drive our mission as we remain focused and disciplined in our approach forward for Harford County's future. As you can see, through a relentless focus on fiscal responsibility, we have been spending within our means, keeping borrowing costs low, and adopted an FY16 budget with no tax increases. In fact, we were the first Maryland county to repeal the rain tax, redirecting existing funding to meet our stormwater remediation requirements. At the same time, my administration kept its word by reinvesting our savings in merit increases for our county workforce. With the help of our new Division of Efficiency and Innovation, we are approaching $500,000 in savings per year by reducing our lease space and using our county-owned facilities. We continue to explore outsourcing opportunities where, number one, it makes fiscal sense and the service is equal to or better than we currently provide. We have already approved successful models in solid waste, juvenile drug court services, workers' compensation, security, animal control, and the county website update, which, if you had a chance to look at, has been recognized as one of the best in the state and saves us about $250,000 a year. Using technology, we are empowering our citizens, and especially the next generation, by making county government more like your smartphone, faster, smaller, and with better customer service. I have funded our move off the county's mainframe and pushed our broadband HMAN to complete its first phase of connecting all county facilities. Our electronic innovation has been recognized statewide, from our first ever virtual town hall to our smart government applications. The snowplow tracker, for those of you that love snow, Track It, online maps and information about proposed development projects, Explore It, online story maps of the county agriculture and conservation programs, and our latest app, and I'd like to thank our best app, Click It, You Click It, We Fix. It's a citizen reporting mechanism where you can take your smartphone, take a picture, report a problem, and we report right back to you when it's fixed, and your GPS sends us where to go. Go to our website, check it out, and give all of these new applications a try. By positioning the Office of Economic Development in a state-of-the-art office on Maryland Route 40, we have strengthened our ability to enhance business activity with Aberdeen Proving Ground, and we look forward to our continued partnership as we celebrate the Post and its 100-year anniversary here in Harford County. Now, General Crawford and I enjoy a close relationship. He keeps me updated on weighty topics such as personnel and mission shifts, and he even keeps me updated on not-so-weighty topics such as runaway blimps. For 2015, I am pleased to report that we had 26 new or expanding businesses, 1.7 million square feet of new space, with $33.3 million in capital investment, a conservative figure of 370 new jobs. Our economic development folks will continue to recruit tech transfer opportunities from the post, outside the gate, and for small business opportunities. If you're growing or starting a business in Harford County, my administration is here to help you. Also, to assist our small businesses, our Streamlined Permit Center is up and running for zoning, permits, licenses, inspections, all in one convenient location on the first floor of 220 South Main Street. And we've had great reviews so far on those activities. Our InterGov online processing system will allow citizens an access portal. It's getting up and running, and it'll be up to speed here probably in the next quarter. And yes, we've reorganized the first floor, and you still have to pay some money at the county office building, but now it's right across the hall, and it's very convenient. But unfortunately, we do have to collect those fees. We have made great strides in turning around the customer service culture in the county. And in fact, every employee who has access to a computer will have to take and pass an online customer service course by the end of 2016. Education goes hand in hand with opportunity. I provided record funding to the Board of Education, and last year, over half of the county's new revenue went to overdue teacher salary increases. I asked the board, as I've asked my own departments, to continually look at efficiencies and reductions as we move forward. I encourage the Board of Education to resist the temptation to add positions during this time of flat and declining enrollments. We are also working on a potential partnership with the Board of Education on a consolidated facility for the management of buses and other fleet service vehicles. On the education capital side, I will work closely with the governor and legislative leaders to facilitate flexible financing and construction standards to assist counties with the ever-increasing cost of new school construction and renovations. My hope is that the Havre de Grace Middle High School project will be a pilot and a model for this effort. I am also planning 2 larger policy initiatives this year. I hope to have a draft of the Harford Next master plan to you by the first week of February. It will be the first and most progressive revision to date for Harford County planning. A modern, flexible approach written in plain English in a concise document that you can actually read in one sitting. Our goal is to be forward-thinking while being mindful of our heritage. And in fact, we have made great progress in renewing our historic preservation program this year. We have preserved the Mount Soma barn, which dates back to the early 1700s, something I'm proud of that no other administration has done in Harford County before. This evening, I'd like to thank C. John Sullivan Sr. and Rick Herbick personally for assisting me in saving the Gorsuch Jostling House, also from the 1700s. It will be reconstructed as a North Harford Visitor Center for all to enjoy. John and Rick, I saw you if you'd stand. On the public safety front, our policy work will be an analysis of our emergency medical services delivery and organization. We will continue to study internally with our partners in the foundation and the association, but I'm also in the process of exploring partnerships that we can forge with external groups to assist us with expertise and making recommendations. This year, I was honored to be inducted into the State Firemen's Association Hall of Fame. That's another one of those life moments that kind of reminds you of how old you're getting. But in the true volunteer spirit, the fellow sitting next to me, he whispered in my ear also and said to be thankful that I was getting it while I was still able to get up the steps to accept it. I will be mindful of our past and our history in the fire and EMS service, but we must plan for the future. Thank you to those volunteers who still answer the calls today without payment, and only my thank you and your thank you when they show up on a scene. I've talked to you about finding the right pace in spending and reorganizing government to be more accountable and customer-centered. Harford County is strong because of our remarkable spirit of giving to our neighbors in need. Last year, we rededicated ourselves to lifting one another up. After a 10-year absence, I renewed the county's partnership with the United Way of Central Maryland, which provides close to $500,000 to Harford County nonprofits. In lieu of an inaugural ball, we donated the sponsorships to local groups, helping our hungry and our homeless. My Office of Procurement, through best practices, actually saved this county over $1 million last year. But they took their lunch hours to create project patches for our veterans, repurposing over 300 uniforms so that no veteran goes without a uniform to his final resting place. Special thanks to Captain Jim McMahon for renewing and rejuvenating our Veterans Commission. Consider this inspiring story. 11-year-old cancer survivor, Grace Callwood, who received this year's Harford's Most Beautiful Person Award. While in treatment, Grace founded We Can Serve movement to help children who are homeless, sick, or in foster care. We Can Serve has donated over 140 back-to-school outfits, 65 winter coats to homeless children. Recently, she was awarded a $25,000 Peace First prize in New York City. Grace is the only Maryland recipient and the youngest recipient among this year's winners. Grace is with us this evening. Grace, Harford County is proud of you. My Office of Community Services carries the same spirit and touches families and strengthens our communities. Last year, Harford County boldly stepped forward to acknowledge the ravages that heroin has laid upon our families. I am so proud that we not only stepped forward, but we stepped up to the challenge. Through partnerships across multiple agencies, we have held our own against a drug which has never been cheaper, more available, or more addictive. I provided the first ever funding for treatment last year at $100,000, which allowed us to secure over $560,000 in state grants for awareness and prevention. Working with the sheriff and the Board of Education, we have touched hundreds of students and parents at community information sessions and through public service announcements. I would like to thank the Gallion, the McLaughlin, and the Landback families for their testimonies. They are the faces of the moms and dads who have suffered the ultimate loss from this epidemic. But they have persevered through their own pain to educate and awaken our communities in the hope of saving someone else's sons and daughters. They are here this evening. Thank you for your work to save our brothers and sisters. We know it is extremely difficult to save those addicted. But through treatment and recovery services, it can be done. Brittany Rappold is here this evening to represent the faces of recovery. Thank you for your courage to step forward and represent those who triumph daily over the challenges of addiction. Brittany, thank you. In order to maintain our momentum, I will be doubling the county funding for prevention and treatment to $200,000 in the upcoming budget. At the same time, I call on the federal and state government to provide increased funding for treatment through expanded mental health coverage and co-pays that are at parity with medical services for physical impairments. Martin Luther King, whose birthday is Monday, said life's most persistent question is, what are you doing for others? To begin our 2016 service work, I will be authorizing a day of service to provide 8 hours of administrative leave for employees to help our local nonprofits during the winter. Just as I invite our employees to the day of service, I invite you, our citizens, to participate. Whether you can give a few hours or a full day, please visit our county website and look at the list of opportunities to serve your fellow neighbor. Let me begin to close with a few thank yous. Thank you to my partners on the county council for your hard work. I don't know if you've kept track, but you have reviewed 71 executive bills and resolutions, as well as 18 executive orders, which helped us clear the way for this new path. Thank you to my cabinet, my staff, who I have pushed and pushed this year. And I only shared the cream off the top of what we've accomplished in 12 short months. One employee even reminded me of my speech last year, and he said, "Barry, you better pace yourself." But you know, I said at my inauguration that I would not squander this chance to make a difference. So I will continue to run fast while the ground is flat. And to those who would try to slow us down or build obstacles, you know, I don't mind running uphill either. It's worth the climb towards my vision of making this county Maryland's new center of opportunity. And before I finish, let me say a few things about my political future, which I've been praying on daily. I've been flattered by all the folks from around the state, my fellow sheep farmers from as far away as Hagerstown and Frederick, friends who have called or written me to run for Congress or the U.S. Senate. But most of you who know me well know that I've always dreamed of being county executive since my days as a scrawny farm boy in Level. You know, some dreams are fleeting, some are meant to last. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not ready for this one to be over yet. We've accomplished so much this past year, and I really enjoy making a difference in people's lives every day. I came home just to do that. So thank you, Harford County, and God bless you.